I've been trading for the last 2 years now, and over the last year, I have noticed some significant changes in my day-to-day life. Changes that I didn't think I would notice. Most of these changes are good, however, I have noticed one not so good change, and I'm gonna go into all of that. I want to review my week really quick. It was not a great week for me. I did only trade 2 days this week, which was probably for the better considering I looked at the charts for the rest of the week and didn't look too great. One green day, one red day. Unfortunately, the red day was much larger than the green day, so still ended the week negative and unfortunately turned the month red as well. But it's all right. It is not the end of the world, and we are back next week to continue to improve and get better. For the month of February, I'm currently sitting down $115 with a terrible 25% win rate, 50% day rate, so that's not too bad. I'd like to see it around 60 to 70 and a good win to loss. But unfortunately, as we can see over here, my Wednesday was just not great. I was only able to trade on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. A small win on Tuesday and a big loss on Wednesday. Tuesday, the green trade that I took, I should have just let it run. I exited early. That was my mistake on this trade. But this trade is what I'm finding to be kind of like a bread and butter. Where is it? Kind of like a bread and butter trade, to be honest. It is that gap retap on the 5-minute. So 5-minute, 15-minute, 5-minute and or 15-minute fair value gaps is proving to be kind of a good hit. And why didn't I take this? I don't know why I didn't take this first one, huh? Why didn't I take this first one? That's why. I was waiting for it to tap into... I was trying to see like why didn't I enter here, but it looks like it didn't tap into this gap up here. So if I draw this box right here, that was a 2-minute gap, a 1-minute gap, and in the upper part of that 5-minute gap. So when we tapped up there, we took this on that 5-minute rejection is when I went in, and it was unfortunately above on the 2-minute, but it was rejecting off of that 2-minute 200 as well, which is why I gave it a shot. Same thing with the 1-minute, was bouncing off of the 200. The only thing is I shouldn't have entered. I entered when red took out green here. However, I probably should have waited for this gap right here to close. So my entry should have most likely been like around this bar instead. Granted, I got the better RR, but a better confirmation probably would have been on this bar right here. Anyway, this 5-minute, continuation trade is what I am seeing more and more pop up in my trades. That was the 5-minute. I think the week before is when I took the this 15-minute where it tapped into this 15-minute gap and rejected. I'm pretty sure I was in that trade. So yeah, those are just proving to be pretty solid. The next trade I took, I probably should have just called it a day, but I wanted to give it one more shot without giving back all of my profits. And I tried a long up here, but unfortunately, I just got taken out of that, and then I called it a day. On Wednesday, I got freaking wrecked and bamboozled. So the first trade, I lost more than I've lost in a long time on this, on the day and on this trade, because I got freaking $20 of slippage with this stupid freaking thing. So basically, 5-minute, this ended up wicking all the way down, but it was popping off. And on the 2-minute, same thing. We had this candle right here that was retesting and bounced up higher. So I entered. I was rushed for this day, and I think that translated into my charts of trying to get off of the charts quicker, and instead I ended up just freaking losing a bunch more money. But yeah, so break and retest, but it was a fakey, and yeah, I got wrecked on this candle right here. Anyway, after I got wrecked there, I was, I guess, impatient and kind of pissed off that I had so much slippage, which caused me to, I guess I would call it a form of slight tilt, right? When you're not being patient and waiting for the right trade. I saw these 3 wick rejections on the 1 minute, and it was rejecting on the 2 minute. and I decided to try to go short because I don't know, it tapped into this gap, and then I thought it was going short. It was also a big 5-minute rejection, so that's why I did it. But I didn't wait for like a proper retest back to the averages. And as you can see, that is where I got just freaking wrecked on the way back up as well. So at this point, I was already down what I usually lose for 3 trades in a row, because that first trade was almost 2 full losses. So I probably should have just called it a day, but instead I sat around until a little bit later and I gave it one more shot for the day, which unfortunately also resulted in an L. It was a short, but it just wanted to go up once more and take out these highs again before it actually made the short move a little bit later in the day. So I went in after this guy popped up, took out this high right here. Thought it was creating, the lower high. Where I messed up here is kind of thing that I was saying on the winning trade, like where the better entry would have been. I should have waited for this, like at least more of this bar to close below this gap here, because this gap is a bullish gap to hold. So if I would have waited for a close below this, if I pull this guy over this way, boom, close below this and then retap, and that's what, and then you get the move. So I could have just looked at that a little bit different, been a little bit more patient, and I could probably feel like, I don't think I was saying it in the moment, but I could probably look back and say that I felt like I wanted to make back these first 2 that I lost a little bit more on. And yeah, instead I just lost another $31. But hey, it is what it is. Anyway, I've been doing more back testing. I did a whole 5-minute, 2-minute break and retest like through the whole year, and every single month was green. I am currently doing back testing on just the 5-minute break and retest. I'm like 4 or 5 months in, also currently all green months. So it's not that strategy that I'm using is not working. It's up here. It's about like letting, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I could literally just back test, and when I'm back testing, I'm like, this is so freaking easy. Like, it's so easy. I don't understand. But then when you get into the live markets, I feel like I've been struggling so much, and I'm just still consistently working on eliminating things to make it as easy as possible, because I am just in my own head. And yeah, it's kind of crazy how, of course, the same thing. The more you learn and the more you're in it, the more you're focusing, the worse you do. Like the first January, February of last year, my chart was like this, like straight up. This year, it's like a flat line. And there's a number, like, okay, my bankroll is just shy of 4K. So I've been stuck between like 3,500 and 900, back and forth, back and forth. So I know that I'm putting, like, for some reason, this like ceiling on that 4K number. So what I'm doing now is I'm saying, let me try to get to 10K. I kept trying to say, like, let me get to 4K. And I think that's blocking me, because every time I get close to it, I drop back down a couple $100. Every time I get close to it, I drop back down a little bit more. So I'm switching over that number and saying, let me aim for 10K. Let me aim for 10K and see if I can just like blast by that psychological freaking ceiling that I put in place, apparently. Anyways, here are some of the things that I have noticed that trading has changed in my day-to-day life. So the first big one is discipline. I have always been what I thought to be a fairly disciplined person, and on top of my, ambitious and all that stuff. But trading has taken that to the next level, where there are things such as, reading or going to the gym that I have on like my day-to-day to-dos. And if I don't feel like going, somehow I always find myself ending up there, or somehow I always find myself reading. I know that I don't want to do it, and then I'll like say, I'm just going to skip today. Somehow I always end up doing it. So I think I've just become more disciplined in general, and kind of to the point where it's almost like an uncontrolled discipline, I guess. Even if I don't want to do something, I have to like really force myself. If I say like I want to take the day off to not do something, then I'll like push myself to not do it, but more often than not, I'll find myself still doing it. Another good thing is that since I stopped like doing the earnings and stuff and swinging that I was doing in year one, I have been able to kind of disconnect from the charts after I'm not on the charts. Like I am much more able to, I don't think that's the right way to say that, but I am able to like go to work, do my work, and then when I sign off, that's it. I'm done. If I do have a terrible day, kind of, I'm still working on that, like allowing myself to have a little shitty day for 30 minutes, an hour, and then being like, all right, next day we go again. But yeah, not having to like obsess over what the chart is doing, and kind of like letting it dictate so much of my day, and just like consistently checking it. I do still have this issue sometimes. Like if it's a day that frustrates me, then I'll check and just be like, of course it's going, XYZ wherever I said it was going. But for the most part, it's much more of like go to work and then shut the computer off, be done with it. Now, where I have seen it negatively affect my life is a little bit interesting. So I feel like I have like a very mild OCD, not diagnosed or anything like that, so maybe not, but I look recently was like looking it up and I found it to be called like just right OCD. I don't know if that's proper, but where like it's not it's not kind of like the typical OCD where people feel like something bad is going to happen. It's just where something feels uncomfortable if it's not left off correctly, kind of, sort of. So for me personally, it's things like doorknobs, light switches, um, looking at things to make sure that it's off, even though I know it's off. I have to check again and make sure it's off. Um, what else? Like sometimes touching things with certain hands, with washing hands, brushing teeth, things like that. It's like little things that I have to do over again to leave off on the feeling of like it feeling like correct, I guess. I don't know. I noticed like over the last year that it was increasing and getting worse. And I was like, yo, what in the world? Why am I having to, you know, do this? Maybe it was like a couple times a week before, and then I started noticing it was like almost every day. Every day I'm having at least like one or two of these things happening. Um, and I just noticed it amplifying, right? So I started looking it up, like what could cause this to amplify, and I'm pretty sure I was finding this was already a couple months ago, but I was finding that like stress or lack of control could cause that, and then I was like, well, that makes kind of perfect sense, right? Because you feel like you have no control in the markets because you don't, it's not certain, nothing's certain. You have an idea, and like what you think will happen based off of previous data, but nothing's certain. There's no control over it. So what do I do have control over? I have control that I could touch this light switch 3 times and make sure that I leave my hand off on it, right? I have control that I could brush my teeth 4 times and make sure that, I feel like my teeth are clean. I have control that I could, I don't know, you get the point. Basically, I feel like it was making that, and it still is, making that a little bit worse because I'm lacking control, not in control in myself, but control in the outcome on the charts. So that was kind of like a little interesting, like analysis, I guess, of why that was increasing. And yeah, I guess once it made perfect sense, I was just like, okay, that makes sense. And just went on about my life. I'm curious to see if that will get better as I feel more and more comfortable on the charts, or if it's kind of just something that's always going to be there because the charts are always uncertain, kind of thing. I guess time will tell, but that is how trading has affected my day-to-day life and how my week went. We'll see how next week goes. Hopefully it's a little bit better and we can end off the month strong. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.